Hey guys, what's up? Well, those of you who've been around this channel a while know that I've had an up and down relationship with Craigslist, to say the least. But recently, I've been on an upward trend, I believe. So I want to show you something I picked up. I'll show you that in just a minute. You know, I bought this F-150 a few months ago, and it was pretty cheap as far as 2002 F-150s go. I got it for 1,700 bucks cash. It's got a ton of miles on it. There's the residence. It's got a ton of miles on it, but I've been working it pretty hard and it's hung right in there, and I've been well satisfied with that. So I thought I would try my luck again and see if I could dig up a cheap running car for under $1,000. And as I've said in another video that's probably going to be posted up either before or right after this one, the thing about Craigslist cars for that amount of money, or that it's like digging for diamonds. Sometimes you find a gem or something really good and luck out, but most of the time you run through a lot of junk and crap and stuff nobody in their right mind would buy. And that's been the case every time I've ever looked on Craigslist. And I've went through, this time around I went through bunches of Volkswagens and vans and Luminas and all kinds of stuff like that, and just you know, just nothing that anybody wants. And I narrowed it down to about 3 different possibilities, about 4 different possibilities, and I was kind of lukewarm about 2 of them, and I was kind of enthused about 2 of them. And the first 2 were 2 Volkswagens, and I know I just said don't ever touch Volkswagen, but one of them was a 88 Golf. Well, it's not a Golf, it's an 88 Cabriolet. It's a convertible version of the Rabbit, and it was nice and red and stuff like that, but the problem with it was that it had a bad transmission in it. It was a 5-speed and the transmission blown up in it. So I was like, yeah, about that. It's gonna be kind of tough to find a good transmission probably around here for it. And then I got thinking, you know, I thought, well, am I really into Volkswagen convertibles like that? I don't think so. So I passed on that one. Just not for me. It's not the kind of car for me, and I'm not the kind of person for that kind of car, I guess. But the second one was a VW Rabbit diesel, and I love VW diesels that are old, like the old ones like that. But the problem with that one was they blew a head gasket, and I got thinking about it. I thought, well, I can fix that easily. But you know, is a VW Rabbit diesel going to be something that I want to drive for hundreds of miles a week? Is it going to be capable of it? You know, I thought, eh. And then there was a 80 Cordoba, Chrysler Cordoba, which is a coupe based on an F-body, Volare. And it's not too far away from here, and that car, depending on if it sells anytime soon, that car may actually end up coming here if I can make a deal on it. I haven't really passed that one up, or the other one I'm about to tell you about. But that was going to be a project car. It could not be running and driving anytime soon, so I was kind of on the fence about it. And the other was a Montero, a first generation Montero, which is an off-road SUV deal like you see in Africa. They're not the common ones you see all over the place that smoke, the 97 ups. This is the older one, the big boxy one. And it's cheap, but it's got a bad engine in it, and the hang up on that is that I don't know where I could find another 3-liter Chrysler rear-wheel drive Mitsubishi V6 engine. Not a van engine, a rear-wheel drive truck engine version of that same engine. So you know, I was almost about to pull the pin on either one of those. I thought, well, you know, there'd be a project, I guess. Be fun. So I took one more look through Craigslist, and I dug as deep as I possibly could. I looked at every ad, and I finally struck pay dirt. And I knew when I saw the ad and saw where the car was, it was pay dirt. I found the car I wanted. Now let me tell you before I show it to you, I'm an opportunist on Craigslist. I don't go looking for a particular kind of car. My criteria is the money, the condition it's in, and whether it's a car that's even worth buying. And like I said, there's plenty of junk out there that's not even worth touching, so I went through all that. But this car I knew was worth buying if it's what the seller described it as. Here it is. This is as the title says, this is a 1993 Buick Century Custom. It is almost exactly like the one that Craig 1974 has, except I think his might be a special. There was a special, a custom, and a limited. This is a custom, a middle version. And it is equipped with a 3300 Buick V6 engine and a 3-speed TH125 transmission. And I had been keeping one of these cars on the radar if I ever found one. You know, I had that 6000 a couple of years ago. It was a Pontiac 6000, which is a lot older than this one, which was just about in the same shape. It was really nice, but it had that 4-cylinder, which was, I would never have another one of those cars because they're so rough and so loud, and gutless. But otherwise, that was a nice car. But I thought, well, if I can find another one of these that's pretty solid, or a wagon, I'd pick it up and just drive it every day. And so I found this one, and I think I made a good deal on it. Anyway, back to what we were saying. 3300 3-speed automatic. I think that's the best combination you can get in one of these cars. I would not have one with a 3100 under any circumstances. I bought it from the son-in-law and daughter of the original. They said she was the original owner, but they were a little bit mistaken, but we'll give them a pass on that. She actually, the lady that owned this car from nearly new, bought it in July of 1993 with 16,000 miles on it. And she recently passed away at the end of last year. She was 89 years old, and she had it the whole time. It currently has 106,000 miles on it. And before she bought it, it's got a stack of papers with it about that thick. It's got all the books with it and all that, maintenance records and stuff. And before she bought it, like I said, in July of '93. It was, I believe, a rental car, because I've got the copy of the option sheet. You know, it's got all the codes like a build sheet, and then at the bottom on the GM one, helpfully, they tell you who ordered it or who it was sold to, and then where it's delivered to. And it was sold to Orange Buick GMC, Buick Pontiac GMC. That's in Orlando. It's there on West Colonial, I think. It's still there, actually. It was sold to them new, but it was delivered to a location. It said deliver it to a location right next to Orlando Airport. So my theory is that that's not anywhere close to Orange GMC Buick. So my theory is that it was a rental. They bought it as a rental car, and then when it got 16,000, 17,000 miles on it, they went to auction, and she bought it. It ended up at the Buick Pontiac dealer in Florence, Alabama, which is also still there. Of course, they're not a Pontiac dealer. So anyway, she owned it since then, and they said that she drove to about 2013 and then stopped driving, and they just used it sporadically to drive her around in. We all know that story. When the driver gets old enough they don't want to drive, they still want to keep their car, of course. So, and it's got some scrapes and bruises on it, typical of older drivers that can't see very well anymore. She got it right here in the front. It took the corner light out, and they said that it had never been in an accident, but I'm kind of suspicious of that, because when I look at the hood, the paint is overall very nice on it, but I look at the hood and the stripes on it, the paint up here on the hood just looks too new and too nice on the bumper, especially you see here it's showing through a different color in there. So I figure she probably tapped somebody and messed the front cap up, and it had to be repaired, but I don't think it's had anything major past that. And she got it again up here, bless her heart. She just pulled in until she hit something, and she got it right here in the mirror. Scraped something there, at least no duct tape. And a couple other, oh yeah, she got one here. Something scraped up over the bumper cover there. Just tapped the lens, and that's a bummer, because that whole thing has to come off and be replaced. And it's got some bumper stickers, which I'll leave on there. Of course, she's backed into something with the back there. The lady, I don't know that she was a very good driver to begin with, but anyway, that's the outside of it. And the inside is just about what you would expect from an elderly lady owner. I've cleaned it up already. It was just a little dirty, but not nasty. It's virtually got no wear and tear on it. The seat belts, for whatever reason, have been coming apart. The caps to them, I found those on the floor. It has a mount down there for something, might have been a phone. I don't know. This might have been a lease car. I recognize that. I think that's a phone mount. But just your standard interior. It's got power windows, power door locks, cruise, stereo, which is not working right. Rear defrost, map light. The mirror's just a little bit loose. It's got to be tightened up. It's just in good shape in here. Look at this headliner. Look, I tell you, look at that headliner. Yeah, nice headliner. So yeah, and the back's in good shape. I found that. I think that goes in the center console. It's a coin holder. Found it, and she left her umbrella in here too, I think. In the rear package shelf back there. So anyway, it runs and drives just fine. There's no problems with it mechanically. A funny thing though, the ad was, this car had been for sale for a couple weeks, and the ad was kind of it was a very good ad, and the people lived in a very nice place, and that's always a good thing. But they made a rundown of things that it needed, and as it turned out, some of that was actually legit and some wasn't. They said the trunk did not work, and he tried to explain to me what was wrong with the trunk latch. He said something was loose on it, or had been screwed back together. If I can find the key, hang on. But the only thing I noticed so far is that escutcheon, whatever you call that, has been screwed back together. But the trunk opens just fine. So don't know what that's about. Trunk seems to work fine, so no problems there. Needs to be cleaned up. So anyway, got some boxes there. Yep. And he said that the windows are giving some problems, and that appears to be true. The driver's window goes down okay, but sometimes it comes up okay, sometimes it doesn't. And he said he thought this one was stuck up. Coming to get us. Roger that. And next thing he said that the air conditioner needed Freon, and I took that to mean that it didn't work at all, but actually the air does work. So it's not as cool as it could be, but it does come right on and work. You know, a lot of times people on Craigslist will say air works, just needs charged or something like that. That means it doesn't have any air conditioning, but this one, it does work. So that was good. Like I said, the radio's dead, but I think I might know what's going on with that. I went through all the service records. If anybody wants me to go through those line by line, I can do a video on that if you're curious, but I'll just tell you in a minute what all she had done to it over the time she had it. But she had the service place that worked on this car all the time. I guess she had to have a battery put in it at one point. And come on, camera. You see the lens is missing off that light. Well, not only is the lens missing, but the bulb that goes in that light is also gone. And she actually had the service place, it's a Goodyear dealer over there in Athens, I think it is, take all the bulbs out of this car. I guess she was afraid that she was going to forget and turn the interior lights on by accident and run the battery down, or she realized that she had left it on and the battery went dead. And so she had taken all the bulbs out, and they actually charged her $20 to take the bulbs out. Is that not wrong? So I've got to put bulbs back in here. I think there's 2 under the footwell and 2 I'm sorry, one at the top of there. And that lens is missing, but I actually went by the junkyard today. I'll show you in a second what I picked up for it. And the other thing that's going on with it is something that I know is going to come as a complete shock to people that have had these cars, and I've had this happen on another car. I used to have a Cavalier, did this, but the torque converter clutch solenoid is bad on it, so they unplugged it. He said in the description of that, he said that something, you know, it was having a little bit of, it needed a solenoid in the transmission, and I was leery of that. I thought, well, if I get over there and that thing's a 4-speed, I'm going to pass on it, because I'm not dealing with any problems. He said it wouldn't go into overdrive, and I thought, uh-oh. So anyway, turns out he just meant it wouldn't go into lockup. So, because when you have a 4T60 that won't go into overdrive, that's a bigger problem for sure. But otherwise, it is mechanically in good shape. It's completely running and driving, so just needs a few odds and ends done like I'll describe to you. And went by the junkyard today and spent a total of $8 at the junkyard. Those are the 2 original mats. Those are 2 I picked up. She had a couple other ones, they're over here I think, that were not the originals. So I wanted some originals, and they're okay. For the money, they're okay. So I got that pair of mats, got the lens for the light, and got a new corner marker light. Goes in there. That's the one that goes in there. Yeah, it is. Anyway, got that, and grand total of $8 for all that. And then I went by needed a hood support, so I went by the parts store and got one of those. And normally this thing's $18 and something, but I had $20 credit, so my grand total for this hood support was 70 cents. So yeah, there we go, guys. I'm just going to put this thing on the road. And I like cars like this because, you know, it's not collectible and it's not rare and it's not worth a whole lot of money, but it's something you can get into if you find a nice one and just enjoy it for being an older car. And I think this is one of the best cars that GM ever made. GM made a lot of crap, and the Century version after this one was crap. Wouldn't have one of those if somebody gave it to me, but I think these are good ones, and I think this will be enjoyable just to put on the road. And it's, you know, a lot of people wouldn't have a car like this, but when you get my age, into your 40s, you start thinking more about where you want to be instead of where you're at. So, you know, this may allow me to turn loose of that Infiniti and get out from under my car loan on it. And no, it's not going to get all this stuff that young guys do to cars like this when they get them. They're so desperate to take them and make them not so grandmother-like that they, you know, put different wheels on it. They paint all the trim different shit colors, cut the muffler off of it, put a big boom, 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 boom stereo in it, and they drive it for 6 months or a year, and they're tired of it because it's a granny car. And then somebody has to, then they try to sell it to somebody who doesn't like any of that crap. So this one is staying just like Grandma had it, and I'm okay with that because I'm secure in my masculinity, and I'm not too good to drive a grandma car, especially one. I tell you guys, you can buy some of the cleanest 4-door cars around for cheap. Oh, I didn't tell you how much I gave for it, did I? I'm about out of camera memory, but he was asking $1,000 for it, so I went over there in the rain in a thunderstorm and test drove it, checked it out, and stood on his porch in the rain and negotiated, and I got it for $800 cash. So that's a deal. So anyway, I guess we'll put the old Buick on the road here. I'll take you for a driving video in a day or so. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you down the road.